Hello, everyone. Welcome to Zen and Fanfics. Today we are featuring What If Deku Had Omnitrix too? Copy Quirks? The story is written by Springtrap 212332 on Wattpad. Before we start, please like and subscribe for more content. Now let's dive into the story. And for the next few months, I'd walk around in a daze. People began to bully me at school, but I never really focused enough to notice it. All that I could think of was that I can't be a hero. I can't be like All Might. One day, I Googled life expectations for the Quirkless and ended up with a week of nightmares of being torn apart, my body parts being used by people I knew walking down the street, my arms, then legs, my face, my skin, seeing someone look like me and seeing red. Bloody arms when I looked down scared me. Until that day, the day everything changed. I had come home my usual moping state, and after I did my homework, Mom set me in the couch and put on cartoons. We've been learning English, so she put it on American cartoons. That's when it happened. The rerun started of an old pre-Quirk era show called Ben 10. Classic. I was bored till it got to the sentient watch, which scared me. Then I watched as Ben accidentally became a fire guy. I slowly grew transfixed with the show, watching how Ben could transform into 10 diurent forms with unique skill sets, diurent powers for each alien. I began researching the show, jumping forward and backwards through the series. Most of my research went into the aliens and the Omnitrix, what Azimuth and Grandpa Max said about it. A wristwatch-sized technological marvel that spliced alien DNA with the host to transform them into other species. At first, I thought the watch itself simply stored all of the DNA samples, which shocked me. Then I watched and found out it had a pocket dimension, and once when Azimuth recalled the watch, the planet it was on was apparently a codon stream for the prototype. Omnitrix, this was the source of the DNA samples used and where the watch called the information for transformation from. I began to unconsciously split my attention into biology, learning about DNA to understand terms I come across, into technology to understand how data transfers worked, into learning cellular processes like replication and degradation. I began looking into the brain at some point around my 9th birthday and into how the Quirk works. There's lots of theories and only a few proven studies to show for 200 years of Quirks to study. However, I quickly came to two conclusions. A. Quirks are DNA-based. You will find yourself with a Quirk-based your parents' Quirks because your DNA is 50-50 theirs. The only reasons it wouldn't are either it's skipped you, a recessive gene has taken its place, or the collision of two genes has formed a third-party gene. And B, if I figure out how to do it, I could recreate the Omnitrix. It works DNA samples. However, to do so, I'll need a highly advanced processing system. I don't have to store and process all of those DNA samples and transform mine almost instantaneously, or merely one. Azimuth has the genius to make the Omnitrix. So why don't I become Azimuth? So my hunt began with Mom almost always at work or home. I had to be strategic in how I did what I needed. I stole into BLD banks and took samples of various intelligence booster Quirks BLD donations. I used their systems to find others. I used hospital equipment thrown out and patched together with major duct tape and wishes. I began to decode the human DNA samples I'd taken, looking for the common denominators and matching them with known information. I was looking for the Quirk gene. By the time I was 10 and a half, I'd hit a wall before I had a brainwave. I don't have the Quirk gene. Using mine as a reference, I should find it easily. Mere days later, I found it, the common denominator for the Quirk gene. Each was slightly diurent, and so I mapped them out. I spent days, weeks locked up in my room with my work, taking notes in Latin to protect against thieves. With the Quirk profiles of each person, it was a relatively simple task to translate DNA into computer script, and from that into normal words. Then I began reversing the process, turning my wants and needs into code, then genetic algorithms. With a genetic splicer, I definitely didn't steal from some bird. Mass people, I managed to make what I believed was the apex intelligence quirk. I wasn't just focusing on biology in this time. I learned technology, I learned mathematics, computing, parallel, processing, and how to create computers. I managed to hook up almost 50 hard drives together on the building roof where I'd taken over the undercover area up there for my work. There I began compiling the biggest computer network I could come up with. It was to begin rewriting itself to improve itself upon the hard drives I'd given it. But in its core programs, I made sure no matter what, it was loyal to me and would never harm me. I left it for a year, bringing new hard drives up at least once a month for it to expand, connect to the internet, and do as it pleased. With one objective: construct a schematic of the Omnitrix the size of a belt. There was one specific Omnitrix I wanted to craft first to begin. It was large and had lots of room to fill with processors. There only really needed to be a single pod of DNA, which would be the size of a coin. The rest would be the Unimatrix belt. Every 6 months, I check in its compilation process, and my eagerness grew. It was slowly constructing, deconstructing, and reconstructing new and improved designs. I already had a power source. There's a power plant in the city. I should be able to connect to it and power the transformation without too much power being drained, though a few power bills may show irregular amounts. Since I can't construct the materials of the nigh-indestructible Omnitrix, I simply used the most powerful materials I could get my hands on via theft and black market. By the time I was 13, I knew I was running out of time. I had 2 years of work to accomplish my goals and didn't even have my prototype fully functional. But finally, on my 14th birthday, it was ready. "Honey, are you sure you're okay with me working today?" Mom asked. "Yeah, Mom, it would have been just us again. I have some work to do for my project, but otherwise today should be relaxing." I smile. "Ah, yes, the secret project that you won't tell me a thing about." She gave me a shrewd look. "It's not a girl, is it?" I coughed and splutter. "Excuse me? Mom, I've been working on this since I was 5. If I had a girlfriend, you'd no. MHM. Well, make sure to use protection, dear." She left, leaving me a blushing mess in the apartment. I waited till I knew for sure she was gone before tearing back to my room and grabbing my suitcase. Then I went and got a taxi to the area of the power station where I stealthily snuck around to the back where I'd come the last few weeks and worked on a path to the main reactor's power line. Having mapped the guard's search pattern, I easily slipped past and around cameras to the line area they didn't patrol. "All right, Eunice, let's get this party started," I murmur, opening my suitcase and setting up. From within, I pull out a heavily modified laptop with a dual CPU hard drive and processing system to plug into the maintenance panel. Next came the jumper cables and connectors I'd hotwired together. And lastly, I pulled out the large belt, sized to fit my waist and expand or contract a medium amount in case of a basic physical mutation. I clip it around my waist. I draw a vial of my BLD for DNA before and after analysis, then plug it all in. Power charge at 5% and rising rapidly. 10%, 15%, the symbol blinked red. I put my BLD on ice and wait. 50% charged, beginning diagnostic and program. Download completed. Now configuring system completed. Estimating power. Requirements. 20% of full charge will be needed for each transformation. Error, energy drain, is too high. Altering programs, no. Most of the energy is to safely change me at a high speed. Eunice. The rest is self-contained safety protocols and procedures. Nothing must be changed. Understood. Estimated power drain and compensation ideas. You will have 5 minutes of transform state before you need to change back. Understood. Power level, 95%, 100%, all systems green. You are ready for DNA alteration. The Unimatrix symbol turned green. Well, either this will work, or I will die. One small step for my plans. One giant leap for human technology. I pressed the 2 buttons, and the faceplate popped out, gaining the symbol of my head. I press it down. It was not painless. I felt, as in a mere 0.5 seconds, my entire biological structure was torn apart and reconstructed in a more frail, yet intellectually superior being. The blinding flash vanishes, and I begin going over our designs, flaws, power sources, and various highly simple ways to make them. I compose multiple mathematical formula and send them to Eunice, restructuring multiple ideas and atomic configurations to enhance her and the Unimatrix, the molecular structure needed to make the original Omnitrix and a pocket dimension and self-recharging power source, all compiled at high speed. Knowing I was nowhere near complete, yet knowing my time was up, I regretfully stop and lightly slap the faceplate of the Unimatrix, another moment of agony before I breathe in exhaustion. By now, sirens and alarms. We're going OU, so I pack up and run as fast as possible, leaving no trace of my presence. I quietly returned home and left Eunice to process the mass data dump I dropped in her for the next few hours while I took a nap to recover. A month had passed, and the news had done multiple stories about how some terrorists had drained the power plant of a major amount of power in a short time. So believed it to be he work if a new villain stealing power for an attack. I, meanwhile, had been hard at work. Major modifications to a 3D printer, new materials smelted and mixed together and shoved through it were used to make machines for other new materials. In a quicker creation speed, I discovered 50 new elements in that month. 50 new elements I needed for my creation. But I'd done it. I made the first half of the Omnitrix, the belt that holds the core and stabilizes it with almost 5,000% more effectiveness and efficiency than the prototype Unimatrix. Now I was a good chunk of the way through the core. First, I'd put in the energy source that could power it, then the pocket dimension where I relocated Eunice. The energy source was actually kind of easy, at a small bit of energy, and it quickly charged up, but was highly volatile if bumped. So it was permanently in a special pocket area. It couldn't be touched. Eunice patched into the core and merged with it. Her main conscious logic circuits no longer thinking independently, as my base programming took UECT and turned her into the Unimatrix's processing system. But now with the refined Unimatrix belt, I was ready to initiate DNA lock. Scanning for Midoriya and a small green flat light scanned me up and down. Midoriya detected. Initiating DNA lock. The belt flew at me, and I lift my shirt for it to slip around my waist and dig itself into my skin and muscle. I test out my flexibility to find no inhibition. I transform for the second time. Now with the new design, I felt my thinking speed increase beyond the last time, and a new design comes to mind. I input it into the machine as it comes and hit initiate. The program I put into my machine is going to become a DNA scanner, decompiler, analyzer, and processor. It'll let me scan the DNA and subsequently the quirk of the person I aim it at. It'll give that information to the next item, which will be an artificial BLD synthesizer for DNA in a DNA pod that'll be instantly transported into the Unimatrix for storage and stasis, not to be used, but to be stored safely. Those files will then be sent to the Unimatrix core to be processed, combined, and synthetically cloned to find the best results possible. I could get 100 of the same one with various minor alterations, yet look, sound, and act all the same, with the powers being fractionally diurent. Then the Unimatrix system will find the best of all and optimize one single combination based OU the Ben 10 series. The diurents between the Unimatrix and my eventually completed Biomatrix is that no matter how many DNA samples I make, I'll only have access to my IQ-1, my proto-Galvan form. They will all be there, stored and ready but unused. A year has passed, and my machines have grown streamlined. My DNA samples grown more diverse and compact. I will admit, I almost went power-hungry, going around and scanning literally every person I could find. Heroes, villains, civilians with basic but potentially key aspect quirks. I found a dude with a split personality and help him out with his quirk. Twice, The user can form 2 copies of anyone as long as he has their measurements, a look at their faces, and a basis of their personality. He was lonely and made a number of his own clones, but then they didn't know who was real and killed each other. He was the sole survivor and was terrified he wasn't even the real one. So once I scanned then, pegged him as the real one, I broke his pinky. And let me tell you, despite me maiming him, he was ecstatic to learn he was the real one. Then Jean introduced me to a friend of his, Himiko Toga, who I instantly pegged as a crazed BLD Quirk user. I let her drink my own, causing her to calm down and panic. Sure, it's not your fault. Your family is full of BSDRDS. I soothed her as she sobbed. In my arms. BLD Quirks need BLD, a mutation that makes it harder to process normal food. Means you need the nutrients from others' BLD. BB, but I KK killed people. She cried. Not of your own volition. Himiko, every kill you've made is the fault of your parents and your Quirk. Doctor who should have organized health inspectors to check up on you. Your Quirk knew you, needed food, and the only food you could get was BLD. I had seen her eyes and knew there was a latent cat mutation, so I pet her hair a bit. I am not. You aren't a villain or a monster. Just a little girl who's been treated cruelly by the people around you. I moved back a little to look into her eyes. Himiko, it's not common knowledge, but a good chunk of the world knows the need for BLD Quirks. Mostly the poorer areas where the Quirk gene has forced BLD Quirks to be more common for more nutrition to be found. Lack of money and food. You will need 3 to 5 trustworthy people who are willing to donate BLD. I won't be part of it because I suspect my BLD will grow toxic for consumption soon. But there are a lot of people who know and care. Her eyes shined with unshed tears as she grasped onto me tightly. Thank you. Just glad I could help Himiko. Now, how are you feeling? Need a bit more before I go? I asked. She shyly nodded into my chest, and I smiled, lowering my arm. I let her have my BLD till I grew a bit lightheaded and got her to stop. I left, leaving a now happy and mostly sane couple behind, glad to have been able to help. I would go back to visit the couple a few more times, checking on them from time to time. Himiko had found a large number of people who were outraged at how she'd been treated and doted on her due to her childish personality being emotionally stunted. Jean had found a place in a construction company who used his clones as safety-checking workers and paid him handsomely to make clones to speed up construction and do more dangerous jobs. Everyone in that was happy and turned the other way when seeing illegal Quirk use. Then came the day the teachers gave back our high school applications. Normally, this would be the time when I had out your aptitude tests and your applications are returned to you. But I know you all want to go become heroes. He tossed the papers into the air as everyone used their Quirks. I cringed and shrank away from him. It's a programmed reaction at this point. I've been exploded and beaten by the people in this school for so long that any threat I automatically flinch away from, or they'll do it again. But when my Biomatrix is completed, I'll show them. I'll show them. All. The Quirkless can be heroes too. I leave and retrieve my notebook before going home. We fly through the sky and land on a building where I gasp for air. The sheer speed had forced air into my lungs and not let it out. That was dangerous, young man. The door should lead you to the emergency staircase where you can leave. I stand unsteadily and look up at him. I need to ask him. All might. Wait, I need to ask you. I'm Quirkless. Can I be a hero? Or are you just talking of CRP? I ask, pulling out my DNA scanner. It looked like a neat little remote and scanned all DNA signatures within range. I activate it as he turned to me. Talking. Up CRP? I guess you could put it that way. I say those things because there's more ways to be a hero than being a pro-hero. Doctors and engineers for Dashi began hissing and steam explodes from him. CRP. I thought I had more time. The steam wafted away, and I put the scanner away before he could notice it. Why saw shocked me. A skeletal figure much shorter than All Might, with rough hair and an exhausted face appeared. You, inflating Quirk, right? I asked, clamping a tight grasp on my emotions. He looked shocked, but nodded. Yeah, got an injury a few years back that's reduced me to this. I can only be a hero. A few hours every day. He lifted his shirt and showed a massive old scar throbbing red and violently. Interested, I step closer and pull out the scanner. DNA scan, identify, I verbally command. This time a flat, wide energy formed and moved up and down his injury. What are you? Injury detected. Massive trauma detected. Subject is missing a lung and much of their intestinal tract. Injury site appears to be draining subject of energy. Error, secondary parasitic. Entity detected. Estimated source. Subject's quirk, the Unimatrix symbol blinked out. Did your belly button just talk? Small Might asked. Huh? No. I lift my shirt to show the Unimatrix. Special tool I made, huge processing power, and a lot of other nifty tools. Give me a second, deciding that as All Might hadn't downright said I couldn't be a hero, but rather a pro. Hero wasn't a suitable position for a quirkless person. I can trust him with this. I transform. My hair vanished and my skin paled, my eyes sharpened and my body shrank a little. Unimatrix. Display results. Identify parasitic entity that isn't the subject's quirk. My emotions are gone. When I'm in my proto-Galvan form, since it's a work in progress, but that makes my work simpler. I read the lines of code displayed in holographic form and process it faster than a human should. Be capable. I find a problem, and the problem startles me. The villain that did this merged multiple quirks together into a parasitic stamp somewhere in your body that's draining your strength somewhere else. Give me a few moments. I interrupt his attempt to talk as I scan the rest of him. His legs show no quirk UX, nor do his arms. Torso was scanned at the start, so it's his head. His head and neck are scanned by the scanner, and a red highlight is shown on his mouth. Did they punch you in the face? Yes. Jaw, mouth, cheeks, and a headbutt to the nose. What? The stamp appears to be fixed on your lips, likely because of that smile you have all the time. Unimatrix, would shaving the top layers of skin remove the stamp? Negative. Calculating. Optimal ways to remove quirk stamps. Surgical removal. Quirk containment, quirk erasure. Quirk nullification serum should all work. I change back and wince at the IQ loss, but back up a bit. Ow. Okay, so there's a quirk stamp, a sort of anchor attached to your smile that's making it impossible to stop the drainage of your health and strength. My recommendation is have power. Loader or David Shield construct a force field style quirk nullification field that cuts through your neck, or a gun that shoots a blast of quirk nullification at your lips. Get Eraserhead in for a few scans to see how his quirk does it and replicate hen, boost the output. 5 minutes. You figured out and came up with a way to help me in 5 minutes when nobody's been able to for 5 years. He gaped. You said you had no quirk. I don't when transformed. I have a few hundred extra IQ dash. Boom. I look up to see an explosion a short distance away. A few streets near the shopping area. SHD. Can you muster up a few minutes? Maybe half a minute. I asked. He focused but shook his head. Nothing left. If I go over my time limit, my future time decreases dramatically. CRP. Let's hope other heroes can handle it. I make my way to the door and begin rushing down the stairwell. I could hear him behind me and didn't bother waiting his eye. Tear through the streets of concerned pedestrians. I find myself at a crowd and make my way through the crowd to see a sight I wasn't expecting. It was the sludge villain, and Bakugo was its hostage. DM in it. The jump. I must have dislodged it from All Might's pocket. Unimatrix initiate. DNA pod swap. Command password plus ultra. I command. It pulsed once, accepting the password. Swap IQ enhancer for liquid manipulation, double flash, and a yellow glow. It'll take a few moments, and I step out from the crowd to scan the villain. Hey, what the hell is that? The villain demands. Wait, aren't you that kid I try to kill? Screw you, I got a better meat suit. It closed and I smile, putting it away as the Unimatrix blinked green under my shirt. I would recommend you let him go. Otherwise, I might just get upset. And what do you think you'll be able to do against me? He shouted, aiming an explosion at me. I dodge it. I'll tear you apart. I slap the Unimatrix, activating the transformation. Instantly, my skin grew slimy and my hair vanished. Webbing formed between my digits, fills grow in my neck, and my nose flattens into one reminiscent of Voldemort. My jaw grew, and large sharp teeth grew into a powerful underbite. Proto-Ripjaws / water hazard hybrid. Once the flash faded, I reached forward, clawing at the air in front of me. The sludge villain gained large clawed holes in it. Wait. Stop. What are you doing? I ignore his terrified yells and tear him apart. With a JRK on my head, Kemui. Woods rushed forward to collect the passed-out Bakugo, while I morphed the villain into two. Separate ball, one hyper ball. Worst comes to worst, he might gain a phobia of splitting himself apart. Those ball go into a cube glass container the police brought, and I leave discreetly. Changing back, I private where nobody could see me. My BLD was pumping, singing with adrenaline. I did it. I created it. I gasp and slide to the ground, happy tears falling from my eyes. I could be a hero. With the new DNA samples, I had a lot of new combinations for whatever reason. All Might had 5 other DNA strains in a sample, so I divided and decoded them over. The next week, an energy emitter that formed tentacles would be good for a tentacle manipulation ability or controlling excess limbs. A floating quirk would be useful for when I get into gravity manipulation or floating like Ghost Freak or Big Chill. I really want Big Chill, but I'll need a few other quirks for that. A permeation 1, an invisibility 1, and an ice 1 powerful. Enough to mimic Big Chill's ice breath. I got a cool energy piling and release thing might be useful if I can find a few others like it. Feka maybe? Danger Sense was a definite jackpot. I can butcher it and put that sensory ability into Dyron Pods. Spider Monkey's Sixth Sense 4. Example. This trajectory and speed altering one though. It ignores the laws of inertia. I can definitely use this for sure. My Kineseller in DNA mimicry has an acceleration problem, but this, oh ho ho, this will definitely prove to be useful. Smokescreen, however, isn't particularly U-active. I'll need a few diurent gas quirks for it to be U-active. I was working on the first iteration of the Biomatrix when Mom knocked on the door. Izuku, honey. Yeah, Mom. I asked, not looking away from the circuitry I'm working on. I just saw the news. When were you going to tell me you discovered that you had a quirk? She opened the door to look at me. Oh, I don't have a quirk. I made something that temporarily allows me to mimic them and transforming you into hideous forms is a side UX. Is that what you're working on? She asked. No, that hideous form you talk about is deliberate. That was only a protoform. Soon enough, I should be able a full transformation. Why? I asked, turning to her. I don't want you to keep doing it. Seeing you change into that thing that scared me, Izuku. She looked so sad. I'm not stopping because a form I'm not keeping scares you, Mom. I have many others and they look scarier, others cuter. It's just in the way the DNA works out. I focus on soldering another part and smile. I reach to my waist and carefully put out the Unimatrix. Flipping it over revealed a small hatch that opened to reveal a pair of small cubes. Both had many black and green tesseracts inside of them. I use a pair of pliers to carefully move them into the new unit and push that into the belt. It glowed, and the symbol shifted from black and white into green and rotated automatically to go through the 10 alien slots in the first playlist, some of which just showed an X, meaning the slot is empty. I put the empty Unimatrix core into the Proto-Biomatrix's storage space. Izuku, what on earth are you doing? Can those things only be used once or something? Kinda wasteful, don't you think? Why is she fishing for information? I pull out the DNA scanner and scan her. It's her. Izuku, I demand some answers. She shouted. Let's just say that I'm moving up in the world. And leave it at that. Older models are replaced for better and newer versions with new features. I smile. Now, I have a test I need to do, so since I have half an hour before bed, I'll quickly do this. Test Izuku no. I need answers and I need them now. Mom shouted. I made a device to allow me to access the errant quirks. Now I'm testing them. The old model could only turn into one thing with long recharge rates. This one should be shorter. Now please move. No, I don't want you doing this anymore. You won't be a hero. They'll call you a quirk thief. You'll never be a popular hero by stealing other people's quirks. I stare at her, gaping in shock. Seeing she'd got my attention, she continued. Now remove that belt and give it to me. I'll take it apart and put it in the dump, my face curled up into a snarl. No, I've spent 8, almost 9 years working on this, Mom. It's indestructible by normal standards. Then I'll give it to the government. They'll use it to heal people. She moved her hand out, expecting me to give it to her. I cackle. Give it to the government? Mom, do you even hear yourself? 2/3 of the government is corrupt politicians. They'd attempt to reverse engineer it, fail, and then cage me in a cell somewhere highly classified to make me either give them the secrets or mass produce them. And do you know who'll get them? The rich and the villains. I shout, pacing. Then there'll be war. Chaos. The average person will be less than a SLV. So no, Mom. Not happening. I turned back to her to see her face white and pale with fury. Immediately, I figure out she's reached the mother's equivalent of apocalyptic mode. I activate the Biomatrix and turn it to sharp crescent-like head and slap it. Green light flashed as the pain from all of my previous transformations never occurred. I incorporated the sludge villain's quirk as a medium transformation point to stop any pain. When the light died down, I stood as a velociraptor-like dinosaur with gray and black coloring. 2 wheels were what I stood on, and I had a face mask. Glowing blue. XLR8. I rasp. My form blurs as I accelerate my speed and perception. This form had most of my processing quirk DNA samples mixed in with the speed. Not intelligence boosters, but thought acceleration. I zoom around my room, collection my machines, and equipment into the pocket dimension before zooming out and up to the roof. My mask opens, and I sigh. A few heroes' quirks went into this slide and go, a few minor speedster hero sidekicks. Of Ingenium, not Ingenium, as his is a mutation-type mechanical quirk. And the core DNA? Velociraptor from the museum for the body shape, tail, and natural aridity for speed. Made messing with so many quirks easier. One would question the use of a tail for super speed. But I'm not the Flash. I don't have a transdimensional energy source doing immense mathematical formula to control my inertia whenever I want to turn. He accelerates to that speed and can walk around like it's a normal day. I only think at that speed, and it helps with my focus partly. Why I'm so glad I found that inertia ignoring quirk strain takes so much yacht from my side, so the tail acts like a rudder as much as a secondary weapon. All Might's stockpiling energy quirk turned out to be a huge blessing for the Biomatrix design. Now, whenever I don't use a power, constantly stockpiles. And with a power source in there as well, unless in an emergency I can fight for an hour or so, depending on the alien, powers, and usage. I sit on the edge of the roof, watching the setting sun move at 1/1000th of a second. When it's dark, I'll go for a run and test my agility. XLR8 could reach 500 miles per hour, or just over 800 kilometers per hour. The sun finally hits the right height for me to drop from the edge of the roof. My wheels meet the edge of the wall and my speed kicks in. Zoom! I reach the ground, readjusting and shooting down the street. Biomatrix identifies speed and save to XLR8's information. Beep beep. I grin, leaning forward, kicking my speed into high gear. My mind speeds up accordingly, the world slowing around me as I basically skate along the road. I weave between cars and truck, feeling my speed reach immense heights. I leap up and over a car to test my jump, finding myself rise a story tall before lowering again. After 5 minutes my time, I'd crossed the city twice and tested water. Walking. Then I go around looking for All Might. Another minute before I found him. He was outside of UA, so I stop in a dime and slow. He flinched and took in a fighting position, yet didn't activate his quirk. Out of time for the day, I ask. He stared before seeing the Biomatrix. Faceplate on my waist. Green-haired kid? I nod. New design. I can explain it better in private. He walked to the gate and swiped a pass before gesturing for me to follow. I follow him in, and he easily guided me towards 3H, the support course, I assume. We walk in, and I find a few people. Waiting, some I identify, immediately others took a few moments. Sir Naitai, Nizugran, Torino, an older retired hero, recovery girl, Eraserhead, and Power Loader. Atashinori here, and who's this? Nizu asked, looking at me with beady eyes. I'm the guy who identified the stamp and learned how to create a device to use quirks and reconstruct diurent types of combinations. Rat God. His eyes glimmered in interest. Truly? How fascinating. And how did you do this? He asked. Ever hear of Ben 10? He was lost, but I saw Aizawa start. You created that thing? He demanded, looking equal parts tired, cross, and giddy. An unusual combination. Yes. Secondary prototype stage, of course, but it works. I turn the faceplate and tap it, turning back. Hello. My name's Izuku Midoriya, and I'm the inventor of the Omnitrix. Though I call it the Biomatrix. Why? He asked. How? Why? Because I'm quirkless. How is? More complicated, so as to say, I isolated the quirk gene and via liberal DNA samples, identified how to combine and rewrite minor parts to create new strains. At current, the form I just showed use a mix of slide and go, velociraptor, and inertia ignoring quirk and multiple thought and physical speed acceleration quirks. Silence met my explanation. You isolated the quirk gene and figured out how to rewrite it. Recovery girl looked almost hungry. Yeah? After getting some speed, strength, intelligence, and various elemental quirk samples, I could see what dictated the limits and boundaries of each quirk, as well as how they get energy. Unfortunately, it's highly difficult to alter them since they need limits and boundaries. I shrug and notice the shocked looks from everyone. What? It took me 10 years to get to this point and liberal use of a high combination of intelligence-based quirks. Thud. We turn and see. Power Loader had passed out. Must be too much information. I sat OU to the side with Nizu, and we talked about the Biomatrix as they work in All Might. Minnie looks over at me, but nobody spoke. So this Biomatrix, how would I go about getting one from you? Nizu asked me. Well, I'm only willing to give up my Unimatrix core, which only transforms you into one at a time, and has a 30-second wait to swap DNA samples. And it has horrible energy, conservation, and recharge capabilities. And I'll have to restructure all the DNA to fit your genetic code, or you'll be stuck as me. Though I think that'd extend your lifespan a bit. What are you willing to give for my Unitrix? I ask. Well, the government and Hero Commission are bound to want it and try to take it by force. I could set up a legal document that they'd be unable to touch any of your inventions. I like that, but I also want samples. As many as you can. Get me. You haven't seen the shows, but Ben had 1 million alien samples to use. All were diurent. Some had omnipotent level power, such as literal omnipotence, absolute time, manipulation, invulnerability, hundreds of clones, sound, elements, space, immortality. I do understand you'd need to be careful about acquiring the samples, though, he nodded. I can work with that. I'll get to recalibrating the Unimatrix. I scan him, and he goes over checkup. On All Might, I began to work on the Unitrix, first making a power source for it. With all of my machines, it was simple to just have them synthesize and charge a new power core the same way Star Trek makes still. Then I used Nizu's sample as a basis for the IQ boosting transformation, how the strands had no issues, almost combining on their own. I construct a new algorithm for the Unitrix to make new strains based OU his DNA rather than my own. However, I did make a human strain for him with his quirk, just so he can go about without notice. I decide on an Omniverse design for him to go on his left paw with holes for his fur too. pass through, and a self-cleaning function. Then I fit the Unimatrix into the stabilization band and add one final bit of code. Any DNA samples he got or made, I would get a copy of an A version for my personal use. I finished by recoloring it. Mine is black, green, and white, as in the show, because it's basic. Nizu's I make black, blue, and white. Nizu, it's done. He turned and I tossed it. When he reaches to catch it, however, the watch took on a life of its own and fastened itself on his wrist. It's got a DNA lock function, so unless someone cuts OU your arm, they aren't getting it OU. And even then, it'll be bound to your genetic code, so they couldn't use it even if they could wear it. Useful. How much anti-hacking is there? Infinity code, guarded by an AI, in the code is in a completely new language I created. So whatever they do manage to somehow get, they won't understand. Nicely done, Midoriya. Are you going hero or support? Hero if I went. Support, I'd cure all disease and regrow limbs. Not something the world's ready for. Understandable, you have a place in 1A. Taught by Aizawa, I nod and yawn. Night all, I select. XLR8 and zoom home. Mom was asleep on the couch, and I move her to her bed before going to mine. My relationship with Mom was seriously damaged, and neither of us was willing to submit to the other. We were frosty to one another, and I spent most of my time out of the apartment. School was over, so I spent the holidays relaxing. I cleaned Dagoba Beach with Heat Blast too. Endeavor generously donated a bunch of core Quirk power without his knowledge, adding a geokinesis quirk and a magma body transformation type. I made Heat Blast quite easily. And as he's living magma and fire, he doesn't have the overheating problem Endeavor has. My only problem is that I can't cause the same effect when I'm sick, because I can't get sick. Funnily enough, I didn't even mean for it to happen, but with the Biomatrix around my waist, it's near my liver and goes around many major arteries, cleaning my body of any toxins and viruses by boosting white BLD cell strength passively. The day of the exam arrives, and I decide to join it, if only to scan as many people as I can. I arrived early in the morning and sat by the door with my scanner out, scanning every person to walk through the door. Amongst them are a cute, brown-haired girl with a permanent blush, a strict and style-looking blue-haired boy, a French guy, a red-haired kid with his hair in spikes, and most shockingly, a blonde who I got an instant notification for. Why? He has a copy Quirk. I don't know what would happen if he touched the Biomatrix. I add him to the blacklist distance of 2 meters maximum. He is not allowed any closer. I don't want a monster levin on my hands, so the self-defense protocol will automatically take you act and blast him should he ever come within 2 meters of me. Once it was nearing the start of the practical presentation, I headed in and sat in my seat with my shirt folded up to reveal the Biomatrix as I began manipulation DNA samples personally. I only partially listened to he. Presentation, kill robots. Higher the number, the more difficult, but more rewarding. Evade the big 0-pointer. I instead was working on one of my favorite aliens, Diamond Head. However, I get interrupted and the sequence breaks, blinking red. I look up at that strict blue-haired kid. What's the big idea, you idiot? I'm working on my exam plan. I demand of the idiot. Why I? Never. He looked gobsmacked. You are ignoring present mixed presentation. If you don't care that much, then you should leave. I blink. With a swipe, I close the hologram and stand. I select XLR8 and transform, reappearing by his side in an instant. I'm better than everyone in this god. DMN building. Speed, strength, intelligence, agility. If I went to the support course, I'd make them cry. Business course, I'd make them lose their minds. I don't need to pay attention like losers like you. So get that big, long, fat DLD out of your butt and choke on it. I return to my seat, changing back beside a shocked Bakugo who immediately looked enraged. And before you, Star, I don't have one. I made my own way, you idiot. That shut him up long enough for Mike to dismiss up, during which I walked up to him and scanned him to his confusion. What are you doing, little listener? Just gaining a sample. You might see the result in the exam. I XLR8 to the site. With the bus coming after me, I knew I had the time to waste, so I began working on a new strain. Jin's twice quirk, mixed voice quirk, a cute purple hair girl's ear jack quirk for inverting sound sensitivity to sound immunity. By removing the maximum number limited on his quirk, I can now make as many clones as I want, as long as I have the energy for it. With mixed voice quirk, I can now make sonic screams. With a minor beat quirk, I got hive mind to be everywhere and anywhere. And finally, as the bus arrives, I finish the strain creation, unlocking a new alien eye. One tryout. Echo Echo. Now, I go back to making Diamond Head, since I was most of the way through as one when Strict Guy rushed up to me. I demand an apology. No, I have to. Concentrate or restart here. I answer absently, locking in a new DNA key and watching the holographic representation of Diamond Head become clearer. I demand you pay attention. When I speak peasant, I want an apology now. And I'm in the works of making a quirk for my exam. Go bother someone else. Making a, you lying cockroach. He swung at me. I ducked the swing and add another strain to the triple helix, which clarified the form of Diamond Head. He flashed and the hologram faded. Now what were you asking about while interrupting me? I want an apology, you filthy little commoner. No, I walked past him. He reached for my shoulder, and I body slam him. Don't touch me. I don't like that. I select and turn into Diamond Head too. His shocked face. Don't bother me again, you hear? I have bigger fish to fry. I stomp my way to the front of the group, passing brown hair girl who looked at me in shock. I sigh but wait for the doors to open before forming a path and sliding into the mock city. My arms grew crystal swords, and I swing them at the robots I pass, shearing through them easily. I don't even attempt to shield from the RBB bullets. I even begin to hum a bit as I massacre the robots. I stop halfway through so as to not take all the points and relax on a roof cycling through my playlist. It has 10 open spots. I've only filled 6. XLR 8, Heat Blast, Echo Echo, Diamond Head, Rip Jaws, and Gray Matter. I'm still working on Goop or Upgrade, Wild Mutt or Big Chill, and Cannon Boulder 4. Arms. Last will be Wild Vine. The building I'm on trembles with the roar of stone and concrete being torn apart in the street beside me. I look up at it and frown. Was Bakugo in this site? I'm fairly sure they split people front the same schools up. I look over the edge only to see the zero pointer's head rising out of the ground. Of course I grunt. Just typical right when I was getting comfortable. I stand and select a favorite of the fans, dropping as I transform. Echo Echo. I split into a dozen copies, rolling as I hit the ground and coming up into formation around the robot. Wall of sound, AHHHHHH. We all scream at it. It took a few seconds to take you act, but the nuts and bolts popped apart, and the head just crumbled into pieces. We all merge and change back. I had a moment of overlapping memories where I saw the same thing. From different angles, but shook at OU. What the most peculiar sensation. However, when I turned to leave, I saw everyone staring at me with what the dash faces. What? I just made the screws fall out. Not that hard. I select XLR 8 and head home for the day. When I arrived, I found my room ransacked and a mess, putting me on guard. I poked my head out the door and called out as I changed back. Mom, what is Izuku? Did you go through my room? Why would you think that? It's a mess in here and not like it usually is. Nonsense, Izuku. Your room is a pigsty. She called back. But I have a system, and that system is completely broken. Someone's messed with it. Wasn't me. And she just sat out there unconcerned. I frown and search my room. I've long since memorized my stew and how much of it I have. And one specific thing was missing. Some spare DNA pods with synthetic BLD for a few basic quirks I've been messing with last night. None were stable and all missed the key component to activation. Sludge DNA. I've been working on Stinkfly last night because as foul as he is, it's still a form of flight. I don't plan to use it for long, just until I can find powerful enough ice breath and permeation quirks. And an asexual reproduction or animal with a genetically diverse species. Why? Because I want to see what happens, and as a Quirkless, no matter the ways I try and raise myself to the level of others know. Woman would date me if they have a high risk of having a Quirkless child. It's a programmed behavior everyone gets from society without realizing it. Praising their quirks, saying they'll have strong children one day, or they'll find Prince Charming with a strong quirk. Things said around a child are ingrained in the child's mind. So if I want to have children, I'll have to find a way to either have them born with a quirk, give them a quirk, or BRTH them in one of my transformations. And as most will be either terrifying or downright incompatible, that normally wouldn't happen. It takes a special kind of person to want to be screwed by a dog the size of a car after all. So asexual reproduction might be the only chance I have of children aside from adoption. I'll look around a bit more and see a spare and shoddy genetic sequencer I hid under. My bed was gone. Nothing else of value was taken. Welp, they aren't going to manage SHD with that sequencer. Completely recoded it, I mutter. I relax in the next few hours in boredom before getting an idea to pass the time. The current stabilization belt I'm wearing is a bit thick in a fight I might land wrong and break my spine. Something diurent is needed if I'm to attend UA. I walk into UA at top speed, mapping out the school and finding my class in moments. A flash of green announced my arrival as I timed out. I've chosen to give myself a 10-minute power supply limit since otherwise I'd spend hours in the same form. Normally XLR8, and I've gotten a bit used to the forms and forget I'm transformed. It also stops people asking how I can use my quirk for hours on end. All eyes were on me, and I see new faces I didn't scan before the exam, and smile, pulling out my scanner. I first walk up to the cold-looking boy with a pokeball haircut. Quirk mutation, passive and active. It's a new active as quirk and does nothing from what I can tell. The scanning light slides up and down his face as he stated at me with confusion. Sorry, I like to analyze quirks. Genetically, this lets me scan and learn more. I smile. I got most of the students before the exam, but you weren't there. I turn away and go to the other recommendation student. Go, I could identify by her poise. Rich girl, definitely sheltered. Every girl in this room has rough skin from training, yet she doesn't. I scan her and get an error. Error 1553. Rank S molecular manipulation core detected. Initiating pre-programmed dissection of DNA sample. I blink and move to the next one, that bird-headed kid, only to get a reaction. Error 2541. Sentient quirk detected. Initiating automatic sentience deactivation, the Biomatrix. Spoke before blinking a few times. DNA sample rendered non-sentient. I blink as a shadow. Bird-shaped figure grew from his back. Huh, you are a rare entity. I'll keep an eye on you, I stare at the yellow glowing eyes. Okay, dude. I find my seat and begin messing with their DNA samples. In curiosity, there's that rockhead kid who's super shy. His quirk was perfect for giving the Biomatrix a universal translator function. But this molecular manipulation quirk, my god, this will be perfect. Up till now, I've been using the sludge quirk for a medium transformation point to avoid any pain since I couldn't figure out how to do that. Mix it with sludge and the already powerful genetic splicer, and I can remove that bright flash I need to transform. Instead, resorting to the Omniverse transformation sequence, I can make the nanites needed to do it, rather than the bright glow to hide the disgusting image of my body exploding and reassembling. Grossly. Yeah, I think I like it here. I watch as Izuku had Bakugo throw a baseball with his quirk to reach a good 750 meters. Keep in mind how Bakugo's quirk grows the more he uses it, and in canon he got 705 meters. How much more abuse must Izuku have gone through for him to get an extra 45 meters? Everyone was excited. This'll be fun. Mina Ishido, a pink girl, cheered. Fun? Izuku asked, chuckling darkly. How about you show them the naivety of her words? Tennyson, ooh yes. Tennyson? I don't remember a Tennyson being called during roll call. Ribbit. I stepped forward and turned toward them. You believe this is fun, correct, Ishido? I ask. Yeah? We get to use our quirks, I nod. True. And it's probably a huge relief to use a muscle you normally have to hide. However, we aren't here for fun, are we? Huh? She blinked. We are here to be heroes, not for fun. Our job is to make sure that those being beaten, abused, assaulted, or held hostage are safe. We are to protect the innocent and the helpless. It's not meant to be fun, but we're 3 years away from maybe graduating. We have time to have fun, perhaps. Tell me, what's the suicide rate of the diurent types of quirks in the city? She seemed taken aback by this. What's this supposed to be about? Humor me well. Mutation quirks have a 1 in 20 suicide rate, often because of disfigurement. Transformation types are 1 in 100, while emitters are at 1 in 500 she listed. Anyone else to note? No, I glare at her. What are the Quirkless? The Quirkless? Will they be the same as emitter quirks, right? Since they don't look or turn into anything scary or deadly. Wrong. I glare colder. Suicide. Rates for the Quirkless is at 9 in 10. 9 in 10 die before reaching 15, you foolish girl. That can't be right. There'd be a ton of news reports about it. The rich girl said Momo Yairozu. I believe. That's 20% of our population. I let out a humorless laugh. I'm not counting the entire 20%. I'm talking of the 2% of that 20% that are born within the last 20 years. The other 18% is over the age of 30, and nobody cares about them, since by that age they've either become house husbands or live in diurent countries more kind to the quirkless. Of our current generation, 9 and 10 quirkless throw themselves OU a Clio before hitting 15. Oh, and the news is almost 90% propaganda, so what? Why should we care about some quirkless freaks? They should all die and get rid of their foul genetics. A short purple ball-haired boy piped up. Minoru Mineta. I snap my head towards him and a growl rumbles in my chest. I'm quirkless, you foolish midget. I stalk up to him and grab him by his shirt to lift him. I have few triggers, so congratulations. You managed to hit 3. Calling me a freak, saying I should die, and being a pervert. Life isn't fun. It's hard, painful. Our job will be to make that pain have some slack for the average person. That's a laughable lie, Tennyson. We saw you transform before class earlier, and you did it during the exam. Brown hair, Uraraka. Aizawa. Go ahead, the government. Can't exactly do anything about that device of yours anyway. I grin and drop my netta, backing up, to lift my shirt and expose the Biomatrix. I made the belt thin and flat, more like the alien force. Wristband. This is the proto-Biomatrix, the secondary prototype of my completed Biomatrix, and the source of my transformations. I scan people and get samples of their DNA, which I then deconstruct and reconfigure with others to reshape the quirk into diurent forms. I have hundreds of samples, but most are incompatible for some reason or other. I activate it and rotate it to Diamond Head and slap it. This is Diamond Head, made with quite a few quirks. Some mineral manipulation, hardening from red there, a diamond, and multiple other samples. Mixed in, I demonstrate by turning my hand into a sword. I can manipulate the biocrystals that make up my entire body into numerous forms. I'm immune to almost every form of energy, including temporal, and can refract most lasers or light. But how does that belt do that? Yakuza demanded in shock. DNA splicing. It restructures my DNA to match that of every sample in it and in turn their powers. And I'm not elected by quirk nullification. It's a hell of a lot more complicated, and if I submitted the designs, I'd probably revolutionize the planet. Not going to do that since it's asking for a world of infinite quirks and everyday villains being able to become All Might. I change back and crack my neck. It's still a prototype, so I have a few drawbacks like power and time limits. But I have one for every physical aspect: speed, strength, durability, intelligence, flexibility was one I got this morning. I got goop thanks to Yakuza's quirk being able to create a gravity projector every time I transform now. And Ishido's acid quirk. Anyways, we should get on with the test before we run out of time, Izawa got everyone's attention. I watched in amusement as everyone did the tests, fired up upon hearing I can outdo them in literally anything. XLR-8 did both the endurance run and 50-meter sprint. Easily. Diamond Head did the grip test and shattered the gripper. Goop did the sit and reach. Heat blasted the long and high jumps. And finally I go back to gray matter for the ball throw. When I turned into the tiny frog form, everyone laughed. Then I started pulling items from the Biomatrix and constructing a powerful laser beam cannon the size of an RC car. However, upon shooting it, the kickback was enough to shatter and vaporize said gun. I was untransformed when a cloud of dust vanished. Ouch, that went boom. Then again, rudimentary parts do that. I muse, thinking over the various errors the cannon had. I look over to see the class was staring at my sitting form in abject horror. I climb my feet and dust myself OU. Welp, I think I could do with a nap. How much of class we got left teach? Half an hour. Cool. Send us to grab our schedules, and you can have 20 minutes for a power nap. I smile at his annoyed yet unresistant eye roll. You guys do that. Tennyson came first. The rest of you were leagues below him. So get better, or I'll expel you, he yawned. I snicker and leave to get changed. Was in the classroom a few minutes later, leaning back and already snoring away. I wake to a scream and a flash of green. I look around blearily and see the class was looking at the form of Bakugo in the wall, literally halfway into it and staying there. Interesting. You attempted to remove my Biomatrix from my person. I built in a few countermeasures specifically for that situation. I chuckle. DM you Deku. You shouldn't be allowed to have that much power. I'm going to be the next #1 hero. I should have that bio thingy. He roared at me, and yet you can't even take it OU me. Interesting. It's partially fused to my skin, Bakugo. There's no way you're getting it OU me. Partially fused to you? Wouldn't that cause some kind of medical problem? Your body rejecting it like a virus? Yaoyorozu asked curiously. No. The opposite. Actually, I can't get sick because some of the DNA samples are being used to passively boost my healing, strengthening my white BLD cells, and supercharging my liver, so you can't get drunk. Yellow hair, Kaminari asked. Wicked. You have an electricity quirk, right? No doubt. You'll be seeing a good chunk of your quirk in my transformations later on. Really? Why is that? There's a bunch an electric quirk can do. Magnetism, absorbing energy, releasing it, physical enhancement, thinking faster, turning into electricity a lot. He frowned and looked at his sparking hand. D a minute. I only short myself out when I use my quirk, huh? No, yours is really powerful. That's why it's going to be in a good choice no of my forms. Biomatrix, bring up. Electrification DNA sample. A hologram formed, and I look through it in confusion. Kaminari, you should be able to absorb electricity at least, and increase your physical and mental speed. I'm below average IQ though. Speed, not IQ. Speed is shortening the amount of time you need to do something. If you use your quirk on your brain, you'd see things moving slower around you. Biomatrix, begin configuration of feedback DNA save file, initiating the hologram. Faded and I turned to Kaminari while pulling a battery from the Biomatrix storage area. Try feeding OU that. Close your eyes and feel for the energy within yourself. And feel for the energy around you. If you can't, try connecting to the battery like a jumper cable. He nodded and walked back to his seat in confusion. The bell went OU, and I checked my syllabus. We're here for the next class. Feedback should be a good alien to teach Kaminari his electric abilities. Maybe I should do the same for everyone else. The next few days passed relatively peacefully till our first hero class. All Might was teaching it. I was there when he took the job. Without that leech, he has an extra half an hour of hero time. Thump, 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 thump. The door bang open. I am here, coming through the door like a hero. Like an idiot, actually. That's the worst way to enter a room, I call. The class gasped. Right, you are young Tennyson now. I don't like paperwork, and I doubt you all like it either. So my class will mostly be practicals when I'm running it. In the wall, there are suitcases for your hero. Suits. Put them on and meet me at ground beta for your first battle training session. He dashed out. I stand and move towards the wall, pressing one of the slightly noticeable rectangles and watch it move outward. Kaminari. I call and toss the case to him. It has a seat number. Seeing what I did, the rest of the class did the same. I take a look at my case and growl. What's wrong, Midoriya? Kirishima asked. Someone saw fit to mess with my hero. Suit. I hew, pulling out what looked to be a greenish-blue jumpsuit with white markings and bunny ears. A note. I read it and growl. You Inko. I throw the suit into the bin. Biomatrix. Initiate clothing generation. Save file 3-inch initiating. Completed. In a flash, I'm dressed in bins. Alien Force outfit. They look like leather and demon, but they're actually bulletproof and heat/cold resistant and reflective. Whoa, now that's a cool outfit. I guess it's more practical than cosmetic. I head towards ground beta, fairly relaxed on the outside. Internally, I'm freaking out. I've yet to be in an actual fight before, and the robots don't count since I was Diamond Head. As if any robot made for an entrance exam could be a challenge for someone basically no weapon on the planet could harm. A nuke would, but that's a little overdramatic. By the time I arrive, I was clenching my hands repeatedly. The class arrived over a few minutes, and All Might made an entrance. All right, kids, this will be a pretty simple scenario. Two pairs will go against one another in a building. One pair will be defending a fake bomb. The other will be looking for it. To win, the defenders will need to either hold out till the timer runs out or capture your opponents. Attackers will need to touch the bomb or capture the enemy team. Simple, I guess. I can do this quickly. Okay, I'm going to kill something. I was paired with Todoroki up against Ida and Bakugo, and he's an absolute JRK. I asked if he had some form of plan so I could work around it. He said to sit back and watch, and froze the entire building. Not only did he insult me, but he froze the entire building like an idiot, as if that would stop them. It might stop Ida, since this boots don't have spikes from what I saw, but Bakugo would just run around. You are an absolute idiot, Todoroki. Excuse me. His voice had a dangerous edge to it. You used your quirk on a massive scale? What if Azui was inside? You have killed her. Don't assume you know the opponent's quirk, or that there aren't hostages. Now sit out here, and I'll get the DMN bomb. I turn to XLR8. There. Frozen, you idiot, you don't need to waste that weak tool of yours, I growl. For your information, this tool completely obliterated the apprehension tests by a huge margin, let alone the fact that I can outrun anyone on the planet. I do believe you got what, fourth? I zoom into the building, moving across the ice with no problem, going up the building in a few seconds to find Ida at the bomb. I zoomed past him, grabbed the bomb, and left out the window to return to Todoroki. Both evaded your ice, idiot. I stick my tongue out at him and change back, ignoring All Might's announcement of our win. Just because you're the son of Endeavor doesn't mean you should brute force every problem like him. I ignore his glare and head back to the class in the observation room, where everyone was looking at me in shock. What? You ran on his ice? Uraraka said in shock. Yeah? As XLR8, I can control the friction of my feet ball. Mixed traction, eh? Non-issue. And going upwards of 500 miles per hour makes gravity a relatively inefficient problem. I don't get the big issue here. What she's trying to ask is, what? Yaoyorozu asked, from the other side of the room. Oh, I wanted a wall run, and I wasn't sure if I could do it with feet, so I gave myself grippy wheels that also had the effect of removing any chance of making me slip. My simple explanation was accepted by everyone, and I lean against the wall and analyze each fight, considering how stupid All Might was when he told us we were doing battle training in the first class. I was expecting him to unleash a horde of powerful robots against us, or something equally troubling. By troubling, I mean by setting limits and stew with my time limit. I'd be in a pickle. Plus, as an untouchable hero, All Might's probably forgotten how weak students are compared to him. However, this is a nice exercise all things considered. Maybe a few pointers on how to capture an opponent first would have been nice, or how to avoid friendly fire. But as per usual, I spend the class making DNA combinations and testing new mixes. The Biomatrix can do in a pickle, but normally I do it myself by using the system's compatibility rating. I have Big Chill mostly compilated, but I'm missing a key component before I finish him. So I focus instead on Cannon Bolt. Much of Diamond Head's DNA sample is used for the Nye Indestructible Shell, a vibration sensory quirk, and a sumo wrestler quirk. Problem is that the shell keeps coming out incompatible with the other two. The next week passes swiftly with a flurry of classes. Thanks to my ID, I can use my quirk to make my way to school. Nothing of note happens besides the press somehow managing to break in for an interview with All Might. It's set. Owe you a coil of twisting nervousness in my gut. But we have another heroics class. Rescue this time. So why does my gut feel worse the further the bus travels? Hey, Midoriya, you feeling all right? Ribbit, Azui asked. Why, yeah, just some nerves. Fighting is easy. Rescue is much harder, I wave away the concern. We arrive at a large dome, and sweat was beading in my brow. Something is wrong. Biomatrix begin passive DNA scanning. Prioritas Alien Force 1 loadout. Compilation. Command accepted. Beginning scanning procedure Alpha. Midoriya Water. You doing? Aizawa peered at me suspiciously. Something feels OU. I'm preparing for SHD. To hit the fan. Alien Force 1 loadout has a regenerator in it. He nods, but ignored it to focus on the doors. Slam. Spatial rift opening. Scanning warp signature. Warp is Quirk made. Contacting UA, Biomatrix said. I knew something was OU. I frown and turn into heat blast, pressing my hands to the door so it melted and punched through it. Ida, make your way to UA, just in case the Biomatrix is jammed, but you're faster. And I have more to OU in a fight that. I counter. Now go, you idiot. He did so just in time as a cloud of gas formed in front of us. New priority DNA sample detected. Warp Quirk. I sent a blast of fire at the cloud. A portal opened and my fire went through only to come out another toward my classmates. I jump in. Let it hit me, my fire immunity, letting it feel like a small breath of wind. Truly golden eggs? However, I must do as Tamura planned. So OU with you. Smoke exploded towards us. A portal formed underneath me. Barely a second to react, I fired directly down to try and achieve some formal hover. It wasn't to be. I plunge through the portal into the air. SHD. I catch my bearings. To see water below me. The guy's smart at least. Despite being rude and all, I turn the Biomatrix. Ring anti-clockwise to 9 o'clock and tap it once. I feel myself shift back in a human then. Directly into ripped jaws. My body pitches forward as I dive into the water. A clockwise quarter turn changes me back, but the anti-clockwise is the quick change feature. Bubbles blind me for a few moments, but when I can see, I notice something that I was not expecting. I was expecting a few fish mutants, maybe a shark mutant. These are the god DMN cyber squids. When I was done destroying the squids, I launched myself out of the water with a splash, landing on the boat beside Mineta and Azui. Stay back, villain. Mineta tore OU a hairball. It's me, you idiot. I point at the Biomatrix. Oh, why the hell are you so ugly? He demanded angrily. I'm a fish monster. Kind of what I do, short stack. Azui, think you can launch Mineta to the shore? If we were sent here, then our classmates should be in the neighboring areas. I'm going to go look for them without waiting for an answer. I dived back into the lake. When I did come out of the water to the middle area that connected all of the diurent zones, I saw something shocking. Aizawa was a beaten up near dead paste of a man under some massive, bulky, bird-headed freak. With the Biomatrix still in quick change mode, I turn into Diamond Head. Hey, pick in someone your own size. I shout, charging forward. Nomu, CRP. I neglected to focus on the other villains. A glance was all I got as Nomu hit me so hard I flew towards the entrance to the building and slammed into the stairs, shattering them. Ow! I swear he was further away. I mutter. I look up at Nomu and frown, seeing him just stand there numbly. Did I shock him or something? Must not have seen. Many people able to take one of his punches, I muse. New DNA samples constructed. Cannon bolt, swamp fire, humongous soar, above optimal compatibility. Oh, really? I smirk. This guy must have a pretty strong strength enhancer to complete humongous soar, uncatalogued. Error. DNA sample corrupted. Deconstructing and isolating DNA sample. Sample includes Strength Enhancer X4, Speed Enhancer X5, Hyper Regeneration, Shock Absorption. Compensating, all quirk factors contained and safely deconstructed. Observation stamp. Remove. My eyes widen in shock. Multiple quirks? Finally getting to my feet, I tap the Biomatrix again, this time turning into Humongous Soar. What the hell? A class SWCH mid. Fight. A villain covered in hands demands with a raspy voice like XLR8's. That's not fair. Tough SHD little guy. Nomu. Kill the dinosaur. In a flash, I was punched in the gut and slammed back into the stairs. With a growl, I grabbed the Nomu in my large hand, gripping it. Shock absorption is absorbing the impact of hard and powerful blows via dispersing kinetic energy throughout the entire body. To beat a shock absorber, you need to use as little impact force as possible and dig through the armor. That's why I hear multiple cracks as I crush Nomu. I'm not hitting him, I'm bypassing the skin into the bones and organs. No, Nomu, free yourself. The still being crushed villain in my hand suddenly surged to life, forcing me to grip him harder. I have to use my second hand to hold it down. DMN, you're really strong. I grunt, my new muscles trembling. Oh, course Nomu's strong. He was biologically created to kill All Might. Hand guy cackled. Biologically created. It's not human. I growl with the new information. I move my thumb and squash the head of the experiment easily. All resistance stopped. After a moment, I uncurl my hands, and a squashed corpse fell to the ground, making me nauseous. I GG, but hold it in as I turn to the hand guy, just as that portal fog guy formed next to him. Tamura Shigaraki, we must go. Without the Nomu, the heroes will be here soon, fine, but not before I hurt their pride. He ran towards the water area where I saw Azui and Mineta crouching in fear. I didn't even think. I grabbed the Noma's corpse and threw it at him. A portal formed in front of Shigaraki. I caught a glimpse of surprise on his face before it swallowed him whole. The Noma's corpse crashed and rolled like boneless jelly along the ground where it would have intercepted Shigaraki. I snap my head to the side and see Warp Guy vanish. Dash! I roar. I change back to human to allow the Biomatrix to recharge. Instead, I look around at the large number of unconscious villains. I take the next 10 minutes to tie them up, by which point much of the class had exited the diurent zones and began to help me. Zero had come down and taped up Aizawa's arms and legs in a makeshift bandage. I'll need to work on practicing with Swamp Fire's potential healing capabilities. So what happened out here? Uraraka asked, having been warped to the landslide zone. I killed a bioengineered thing capable of tanking All Might. They messed up the design. Though what? The class asked just as the doors slammed open. I am here. All Might announced, you are late. I shout back. AHCRP baskets. He leapt down with the other teachers following and splitting up. What happened? I explained what happened from my own point of view, and everyone else slowly explained the various bots they'd come across in each zone, each uniquely suited for the area. It seemed that the only living villains were in the plaza, where Aizawa could handle them. But why not just have only robots? Did they really have that much confidence in the Noma's capabilities that they had arguably the weakest guards for their boss while they waited for All Might? Or was there only a limited amount? Were these just prototypes? If so, how come they were so difficult to fend? I was swarmed, or was that just Because of the tentacles? Midoriya? I jump with a small scream when a hand grabbed my shoulder. I turn and fall over only to see it was Kaminari. Geez, don't sneak up on me like that. Man, I could have hurt you. I accept his hand up. You? Hurt me? You have to hit that watch every time to transform. It has other methods, and it's not the completed product, either Kaminari. It also has other defensive protocols if my heart rate spikes or other imbalances. Be glad we were just in a fight, or you'd have been blasted with an energy burst. I accounted for post-fight jitters by having a half-hour acceptance PRD for sudden scares after a fight, signified by transforming, adrenaline spike, slow heart rate increase, or large levels of physical activity. The next week was filled with me testing and reshaping the DNA of the warp quirk to add a warping function to the Biomatrix. However, with the sheer power demand, I had to add a third power core specifically for in case I'm run into a total timeout and need an automatic escape warp. You never know. During this time, I also recreated Goop, a mix of the sludge quirk, Mina's quirk for the actual form, Uraraka's quirk, shock absorption, and multiple strength enhancers went in to make the gravity projector to keep his form. Much of this time was because I had to make the gravity projector and test it multiple times to make sure it wouldn't be destroyed by any old punch. So I let Humongosaur be altered with every strength enhancer I had, grow to his full size, and added XLR8 speed to it this once, and went ham. I managed to make one that could take a good 5 maxed out blows before being damaged. What I needed was some sort of self-repair function. Then I got a brainwave. I have 3 diurent ways for that. Creation for nanites and materials. Warp for replacements. Shock absorption to decrease damage to 10 blows. I was thinking of making my first request to Nizu when he emailed me and said he had Technopath and mechanical DNA samples ready for scanning. Biomatrix, call Unimatrix BBBA. Hologram was projected in front of me, making a massive size hologram of Nizu I look up at. This is to represent the fact I'm on his wrist in miniature. It also has movement tracking. Ow. Do I, Midoriya? I didn't know we could do this. You got my email? I did. I guess I forgot to mention that when I gave you the Unimatrix, I added a few features, such as the call feature. Anyways, any DNA samples you scan, I get a copy of, and vice versa. This includes any forms we create and technologies we develop being duplicated in the other's matrix could have done with a handbook for this, but that's great news. I've scanned the teachers and much of the other departments. How much of the heroics department have you scanned? Just my class and teacher. You just need to ask the Unimatrix for the tutorial program to start messing with DNA samples. It'll teach you to make a few basic forms that I've already constructed. I assume you're figured out how to swap DNA pods. Wise move, Midoriya. And took me an hour before I realized you put my school motto. I thought it was All Might theme. The hologram laughed and sipped tea. Mind if I use this hologram design for school purposes? We could replicate various situations and crime scenes for real-time review and mimic a few sensory manipulation quirks. Sure, it wasn't that difficult for me to make actually. Just had to tighten a few frequencies for the light to shift correctly. I'll let you go back to what you were doing. Biomatrix end call. Hologram shut OU. Biomatrix. Initiate DNA construction of galvanic mechamorph DNA mimicry of all DNA samples currently collected and soon to be copied over from Unimatrix core. Confirmed. Beginning synthesis. I sigh and lean back. After the USJ, I reaped many rewards. One being actual fighting experience. It made me hunger for more, not because I'm an adrenaline junkie, but because I can tell how badly I SCK at fighting. That's my new project now that my Warp Tech prototype is completed, creating a hardlight hologram training room. In there I can fight against various enemies and learn how to fight in human form. That would do well in translating into my humanoid forms like Swamp Fire or Heat Blast. I chose not to make 4 arms up till now because I wasn't planning on doing so until the sports festival. But now, I can use underground wrestling matches for him. Plan made, I begin synthesizing 4 arms, periodically, checking on the galvanic mechamorph DNA mimicry. It was progressing well, and a long list was being made. Each gets put through a simulation and analyzed before rejection or moving to the next stage. That's how the Biomatrix does it. I know what I want innately, and with a mix of human ingenuity and instinct, can find the easiest road to it. I finished 4 arms. There was a 4-arm villain, E-rank steel bulwark, I think. His metamorph quirk was the base, but I strpp'd away the metal and reposition the arms. His 4 eyes was easy to add. The metal I took from the arms went to make steel like muscle, some strength enhancers, and a lower level intelligence enhancer made him completed. Galvanic mechamorph synthesized complete. Do you wish to test the galvanic mechamorph DNA mimicry? Yes, I transform without touching the core. Everything remained 3D, but I can tell that I only had 1 eye. Now, to test it. Looking around, I see my phone, my DNA samples, and nothing else. Constitute an empty biomatrix. Core, an energy source, I command. After a minute, the power source popped out, 5 more, and the core followed. I grab both, feeling as my hand sinks into them, the entire design flashing through my mind in a mere instant, constructing a mental diagram. That's neat, now what? Possible upgrades can I do? I muse, looking it over. Power consumption can be reduced dramatically if I adjust this variable here and that one there. If I remove this algorithm, now, pointless due to more efficiency, I free up a good 10% max power, another few minutes. Can be added if I do this, and this. I hold the new core in my hand as I pull my hand back from it. Biomatrix, scan and compare with current model, scanning. New alterations. Streamline energy usage and conserve 50% of current timeout limits power. Nice. I just halved energy usage with 10 minutes work. Now how about efficiency? The Unimatrix core is the size of the Omniverse core, which is a quarter the size of Azimuth because it's a wireless one, connected to the pocket dimension, which I've relocated into a large device within the Biomatrix. My one is about 3 times that size. Even the prototype Omnitrix was half a Gavin's size and had more functions. I begin to think over the way the various materials react, and excess I've had to include to avoid overloads and various chemical reactions and power surges. My new brain immediately gives me 3 material compositions to add and their schematic. I turn from the desk to the clean bedroom. Biomatrix, eject dimensional storage device, a flash of green light filled the room before a machine the same size as a smart double-door fridge appeared. Why that size? Its materials are deliberately overly heavy, so when the Biomatrix isn't. Within 5 meters of it, the anti-grav tech within stops, dropping 10 tons of weight on whoever's decided to try and steal it. Through opening the doors, it was an open space inside. No energy portal, no security measures, just an open simulated world. I began working on the equipment, setting up multiple processors and merging with them to upgrade them with a limited time on this charge. And just in time, the belt beeps and changes me back. I press a button and I just have to wait. As I do, I go over the quirks involved with upgrade, nanotechnology transformation, now mutation, intelligence boosters, sludge, schematic, programming, tactile technopathy, and where did Nizu find a theoretical upgrade quirk? Biomatrix, call Nizu. Answered quickly. Midoriya, it's barely been an hour. Yeah. How did you find that theoretical upgrade quirk? And why the hell aren't more things heavily sci-fied? Because I got upgrade. Done. And I used it once. Now, I've discovered 3 separate new elements. This quirk could make an average supercomputer in a literal watch. With scraps. Even I had to use high quality. Stood to make one the size of a phone. Oh, well, that's the interesting bit. The guy couldn't use it. The drawback requires he be able to construct the schematic in his own mind. But the drawback gave him ADHD. I blink. And blink again. Is he a villain? No, then I'll be making a genetic alteration device similar, but nowhere near as powerful as the Unimatrix. and uploading a minor alterations to his quirk into it. You can use it on him and him only. He can revolutionize the planet on his own. Maybe solve world hunger like I have. You've solved world hunger? Nizu asked. Star Trek replicators and one of my power cores can recreate any molecular structure it's previously scanned via energy conversion. I shrug. Not too diuoccult, I just use it to make the elements not in the solar system. Hell, I made it without the proto-galvan form. It was his turn to blink. And you haven't published this information? What? He asked. What would the first thing people created with it? I asked rhetorically. Nukes, guns, poisons. They'll test its limits with the most diuoccult things they can come up with. Before I publish this, someone need to input just as much security as the matrices, else there won't be a planet to protect. True, humans are particularly impressive at making things die. Can the school have those? You have the designs already, Nizu. Unimatrix has near MSTR access to what the Biomatrix does. Anything it doesn't is things I've specially locked away or deleted from both matrices because it's just too powerful. Understood. Well, I'm in a meeting, so I'll get back to you tomorrow after class for our chess match. Unimatrix end call. The image winked out, and I frown. But with a project to work on, I get to work. And while I'm at it, I'll remake those DNA sample takers. A mosquito with a liter pocket dimension should work. I sigh, wiping away the sweat from my forehead as I finish the construction of the fourth BLD pool. They're the size of a kiddie pool, and any BLD dripped into them will be scanned and vaporized. 3 are for each quirk type, and each mosquito will travel in a pack of 3. The fourth will handle animal DNA, but that will also have bone, skin, and various other biological matter in it. Each are at a compass.ou, a large warp pad. Each mosquito will return to whenever it's full of BLD. A smile crossed my face as I see the mosquitoes being created and warping out to random places in each country in which I placed a deodorant warp pad. Yeah, I didn't sleep last night, but it was so worth it. I head out and pack it all away before we're going to have breakfast, yawning. Morning, Izuku, Mom said chipper. Morning, I grunt, heading directly for the Koei machine. What has you down in the dumps? Spent the whole night in my pocket dimension storage device. Hasn't. Acre of simulated world. I grumble. Why on earth would you do that? She demanded. Found out a guy was sewering from his quirk and decided to fix it. Just got to give a support item to Nizu this afternoon, and maybe the dude won't have the most intense form of ADHD I've ever seen. Nizu had sent a few clips of the guy, so I had something to work with. How bad? Guys. An insomniac, hair and beard like a hippie, never showers, can't hold a conversation. The device I made should be able to suppress the drawback of his quirk, which is causing the ADHD, and maybe he'll be able to function properly. And you sure he isn't a hobo? Fairly sure his quirk lets him develop theoretical improvements on and schematic he can mentally imagine. So his drawback is a really pain in the butt language. Mom, if he could be a full-blown telekinetic, capable of lifting buildings, but in return was a paraplegic, would you do it? I asked while scowling. My food. Well, no, that's basically what this guy is. He has the holy grail of any inventor and is completely useless to do anything with it. Don't insult my intelligence by assuming I didn't. Check the guy's background. He's a mechanical prodigy. Give him a metal cube and some basic welding equipment, and he'll make you an optical illusion replica of that old painting by MC. Escher about relativity. His grades and everything else is CRP, but that's because he couldn't be in classes normally or take those tests, so what? He's Einstein. The next one, yeah, dude may bring humanity to the stars on his own. I get up, finished, and go get ready for the day. I was almost asleep during the wait for school to start, but the bell woke me. Aizawa walks in covered in bandages. Mr. Aizawa, are you sure you should be teaching in your state? I'm fine now. You all survived the USJ attack. Good for you. However, your fight isn't over with. In 2 weeks, the sports festival will be occurring despite numerous attempts to call it OU. This is a vital part of your time at UA as it allows pros to see you in action and if you do a good enough job, send you an internship request. Right, this is the first step to building connections with heroes. And these connections are things that'll be what either make us or break us as heroes. The 2 weeks passed, and I lift my timeout limit to 15 minutes with a 5-minute recharge. And while liberally training, I'm programming the Biomatrix 2.0, increasing various functions and features. This one will have everything my current Biomatrix has, but it'll have 2 more functions: beta calibration mode and beta MSTR control. Beta MSTR control requires verbal commands, i.e., the code names of every mimicry I have. So not super powerful, but an edge. And beta calibration mode uses my galvanic mechamorph mimicry on the core and stabilizer themselves to enhance them and connect them to the host's nervous system. I say host because this copy will be more connected to the user. Whereas with the previous versions, the matrices have been partially fused with the skin, not much, but a small amount. This one will replace the skin of the area itself with its stabilizer. The fortnight blurred together till I suddenly find myself getting ready in the change rooms before the sports festival was to begin. Midoriya, I turn to see Todoroki. Yes, Todoroki, objectively speaking, I'm stronger than you, so out of the entire class, you're the closest to being able to beat me. So I'm declaring war on you. Today, I will completely obliterate you. He turned around and walked OU. I look after him in confusion. Where does he get OU thinking he can beat me? I wonder as we make our way out into the main arena. Alrighty then. This marks the start of the UA Sports Festival of 2256. I am your commentator, Present Mike, and my co-host, the man who can shut you up with a stare, Eraserhead. Shut up, Mike. I can hear just how done with this Izawa already is. And as the judge in the middle, we have the R18+ rated heroine. Midnight was stood before a slot machine with one choice. All right, kids, there's hundreds of you and only 42 spots to get in the first event. Shall we get a drum roll, please? The massive handle was cranked down, causing the slot to begin sliding rapidly. It slowed to a halt. On obstacle race. The first event is the obstacle race. 3 obstacles will be in your way of the start and the end. The track will be from the exit, around the stadium, and back in through the exit. I smile and walk to the starting point, with everyone eagerly trying to get to the front 4. A better position for running, I stick to the back. I was beside this purple-haired high with sleep-deprived eyes. "Oh, hey, how you doing?" I asked. "Good, you?" "I'm fair. This is a bit simple for me, thanks to my Biomatrix, but have to get a leg up somewhere," I shrug. "What?" he asked. Bowled. I reveal the Biomatrix. I'm Quirkless, so I made this. It turns me into diurent. Forms with diurent abilities. Ever watch Ben 10 as a kid? His eyes sparkle with interest. You made an Omnitrix? Kinda more of the future Ben 10,000 Biomatrix. I use people's DNA and recreate the aliens. I smile. You? I have a villain's quirk, he frowned. What? You can turn anything you touch into a mutated monster whose sole purpose is to wipe out life on Earth. What? Ow. Unless that's your quirk, it's not villainous. Just a bit frightening. I rub my ear from the pain of his yell. Oh, and mind control. A really powerful quirk stops suicide jumpers, in fights without fighting, and, yes, through the way people would view it, you could go undercover in the underground for investigations. I list out. He seemed genuinely surprised. Midnight began counting down. 5. I activate the Biomatrix. 4. 3. I CYCL to XLR8. 2. 1. Go. As ice erupted, I slapped down on the faceplate while reaching for purple hair, zooming OU in an instant. Over the ice and beyond Todoroki, who was left in my dust. I passed some robots and 0-pointers, till I reached the second obstacle, a gorge with trapeze wires. I stopped to leave him there. You got a large lead. Try to keep it. I zoom OU and over the wires with ease. passing and reaching the final obstacle with a speed large enough, I just leapt over them. I was back in the stadium and changed back before exiting the tunnel. I checked my time, 10 seconds. Not too fast, but definitely eyebrow-raising and jaw-dropping. While I wait for everyone else to finish, I went to work on my Biomatrix 2.0. I had to build it myself, but now, with various observations with gray matter and upgrade, I can make small minute changes to improve it. First thing I added to PB 2.0 was the loadout select function, to make the list to select from smaller and easier to organize. Each list will have a speedster, a tank, a strongman, a genius, a fish, a flyer ranged, an elemental, a healer, and a non-fighter/AoE fighter, like Pesky Dust, the Worst, or Gravitack. In the main playlist, my power loadout, I put XLR 8 for speed, Cannonbolt for tank, Humongousaur for strongman, upgrade for genius, since he can also fight. Fish was Rip Jaws, since there aren't any others. Goop for flyer, since I have minor flying capabilities. Echo for ranged, Heat Blast for elemental. Swamp Fire for healer, and Diamond Head for the last slot. Both because he can't easily be hurt, and because he can easily walk into mobs and grab people peacefully. And as the power loadout, I put physical copies of each sample in the watch's DNA pods. The rest will be like the Omnitrix, wirelessly accessible. There was a knocking at the door, and I turned to see Nizu had come to visit. Oh, hey, Nizu, what's up? Saw you bring this out. What is it? Pocket. Dimensional storage device I created. Not much, but I can store my more important machines in here, as well as the DNA samples we use. Nice. And the simulation? I can feel the sun. That's actually a power core suspended up in a roof. Works based OU All Might's Quirk when I got a scan of it a while back. Infinite energy storage. As long as it isn't compromised, I can store initiate energy inside it. You scanned All Might's Quirk. Yep, he had a few other quirks on him, probably from when he went through the sewers and got dirty. But Hat One was definitely what he uses to transform, but he still has it. How did you manage to copy it? I got an empty copy. I'm assuming his is transferable? Not too surprising, but I got a blank page of infinite energy storage. However much energy was in it would never have transferred over. You can't duplicate energy. Well, that's a relief. Anyways, I came to tell you that the government's already called me to take your Biomatrix from you, as you're legally, officially, and biologically quirkless. Legally. However, they have no grounds to take it. Just came to warn you that they'll be expecting it within the week and may make a move on you outside of school time. That's nice. Thanks for the warning. Oh, and Unimatrix initiate data update. Host protection protocols confirmed it. Turned green and glowed stronger and softer. What I just did was have Unimatrix install a few anti-control protocols, mind control, drags, perception-altering quirks. None of them work now. How did you manage that? The Unimatrix is bonded to your nervous system. It can tell when your brainwaves change in accordance to the surroundings and see what you do. Additionally, it can STML to your mind to counter any UX it deems unnatural. That's an impressive feat. Now, I must go to overview the rest of the festival. Have fun. I chuckle but pack up what I was working on, stepping out and putting the storage space away. It's almost time for the next event. Anyways, the next event turned it to a cavalry battle. Since I was first, I got 10,000 points. Far above second's amount. Nobody wanted to team up with me. That's all good. I turn into goop just before the round starts, confusing everyone, till I just go up, and away from the ground, flying out of reach. Is that allowed? I could hear midnight. A moment of silence for a response. It's allowed since he's not touching the ground, she declared. Deku. In a sudden thought, I twist my body around the reaching arm of Bakugo, latching onto him much like the sludge villain did. This seems familiar now, doesn't it? I ask in my weird, watery voice. You. BSDRD. Die. He unleashed an explosion over his shoulder at me, but missed and knocked himself OU balance. I let go, and he was caught by his team just before hitting the ground. I continued to just fly around in amusement until the timer hit 0, and I changed back The break passed slowly, but sooner than most realized. The third and final event was beginning. I watched carefully. This morning I'd sent DNA samplers to sample the DNA of the audience, so I now have a ton of DNA samples to use and make new mimicries. DNA mimicry are being churned out at a fast speed. I'm up to 14 now, and even more are being formed. Finally, it's my first fight. I walk out of heat tunnel onto the arena, a massive slag of concrete with a white rectangle border. To the right was Midnight and Cementos. Midnight is the umpire and Cementos is just here to make sure the more deadly quirks don't actually kill. On the other side of the arena was the mind control boy. Tennyson, you ready? Yes. I reach for the Biomatrix. Shinso, you ready? Yeah. Whatever, definitely overconfident. Then, begin. I pop open the faceplate and look down to select. You know, I saw you messing with that thing. What is it? Some sort of cheating tool. He asked casually, as if we weren't in a fight now. I find my choice. I all read dash, I blank out. Gotcha. Walk out of the arena. My body turns around slowly and begins to walk towards the way I came. My steps slow and steady, but my arms swinging back and forth. DM in it, his Quirks response. Based. Host brainwave subdued. Initiating emergency reactivation. I heard the Biomatrix say. Zap. Ow. I cry out as electricity shot through my system. Host cognitive brainwaves. Reactivated, Biomatrix said before going quiet. I breathe, pissed OU, and slap the Biomatrix. A flash of light goes OU before I'm revealed. XLR8. I speed blitz him, shoving him hard enough to send him flying out of the arena. Tennyson wins. I zoom across the stadium and back to my seat. I pull up his Quirk information and adding it to the 2 works in progress I have. Vampire and Ghost Freak. I should have realized something was up since I already told him about the Biomatrix earlier. My second fight is against Todoroki, and I have the perfect transformation for it. Thanks to the help of a member of Class 3A I ran into a couple days ago, I gained a particularly important quirk factor I needed. I walk out to the main area and up onto the arena, staring down Todoroki. You know Todoroki? I'll be using a particular form against you. Immune to ice, it lives in the vacuum of space the majority of its life. You better come at me with everything you got, or you won't have a chance. I proclaim, did my father put you up to this? He glared. I haven't met the idiot, and I'm not interested in doing so. I'm doing his because you need me to, whether you like it or not. Tennyson, are you ready? Midnight interrupts. Yeah. Todoroki? He nodded. Then, begin. I popped the dial, and a flash of green blinded the stadium. Then a huge iceberg filled everyone's view. He'd repeated his trick with Zero. It's why I picked this alien rather than another of its type. I easily slide through the ice, reappearing in front of it, and staring at Todoroki, who looked at me in shock. I've taken the form of a creature with a ragged blue and black cloak, 3 fingers and a thumb per hand, each sharp and clawed, and 2-toed bird-like feet. Big, chill, incredible. Izuku Midoriya has just taken a new form, one capable of passing through solid ice. I heard present my call on the PA system. So, you're a ghost, so what? Todoroki demanded, sending a smaller, faster chunk of ice at me. I unfurl my wings and lift OU the ground. Who says I can only go through ice? I ask. I take a deep breath and release it, sending a frost-filled stream of air at him. He dodged to the side and sent another iceberg at me. I phased through it and sent another blast at him, covering the ground. Under him in sleek ice, he slipped and had to cover the ground in his own ice to gain proper footing. Todoroki, I could do this all day. This guy's immune to hyperthermia. I call. Where's the tough guy who told me he'd obliterate me? Seems to me you need to turn up the heat in here. I won't use his fire, he argued, sending more ice. I easily flew around. Everyone here's using their full power, and here you are half-assing it. Use your full power, or I won't even fight. I won't. Use his fire. It's your quirk, you idiot. Not his. I rasped at him, pissed he'd still refuse to use the gift he was given when I had to make my own. His eyes seemed to widen, and he froze, possibly remembering something. Then his side lit up. I can feel the heat, but it doesn't bother me. In fact, it makes me hungry. Thank you, Tennyson, but you're done now. He sent massive blast of fire at me, so hot it was turning white. I sent a wave of ice back at him, dozens of forks of ice breath being unleashed across the flames. Steam exploded from sheer heat versus the sheer cold. Battle and an explosion went OU. I'm launched backwards from E-force, but I become intangible and catch myself with my flight. Smoke and steam filled the stadium. What happened? That was a massive explosion. Who won? I land on the arena and send an ice wave outwards, cooling the steam and change back, pretending to look exhausted as the fog faded. Izuku Midoriya won. He goes to the next round. Midnight declared, her voice clear, if a bit shaky from the sheer power we exuded. The stadium exploded as I turned around and left. Why didn't you stay to soak up some of the attention you dash? I turn and see Bakugo glaring at me. Because we're going to be heroes, not celebrities. You and I have the same view on paparazzi and being popular. Bakugo. We don't care. Probably the only thing we have in common anymore. I walk past him. He stopped me by grabbing my arm and leaned in. You're nothing but a worthless weakling without that device of yours, Deku. Remember your place. Without that fancy gadget. What are you? Without it? I'm the genius who can manipulate the quirk factor. I could turn you into a living volcano, or myself into anything I have available. If I wanted a Bakugo, I could give myself a quirk, but I don't because why should I? I let a condescending smirk spread my face. Why should I lower myself to a quirk person's level when I've unlocked the path to godhood? I ripped my arm from his grip and returned to the seating area, going back to working on mimicries. I watch as Ida does the gentlemanly thing and gently pushed/escorted Shiozaki from the arena in annoyance. He's a real piece of work, been all up in my face and calling me out for being relaxed or lazy most of the time. At least I get to shatter his confidence in his speed. The next few fights go on, and I shake my head, poor Yairozu, overthinking when it's time to act and react. I get up from my spot and head towards the waiting rooms, listening close. I heard her sob through the door and knocked. Huh? Who's there? She called, but I could hear the edge to her voice. It's me, can I come in? I ask. Now's not a good time. I know you're crying. I got some advice for you. I grab the handle and turn it. The door was unlocked, and I pushed it open slowly. She had tear marks on her cheeks, and her eyes were red. I closed the door and locked it, sitting across from her at the table. You froze. You walked in with a plan, and when it failed you froze. I don't hold back my punches. Yes, look if you're just here to dash. She looked angry. You need to stop thinking I interrupt her. You were overthinking as you fought. It's an unfortunate side you act for your quirk. So many possibilities. So much potential. You just can't choose what to do. I understand that well. You don't have a quirk, though, she stated. Confused. But I have my Biomatrix. I can transform into over a dozen forms. And I'll only gain more as the months pass. But how do you choose? She asked, understanding why I'd come to see her. I make playlists. Pre-programmed short lists of forms with specialties. One for speed, one for strength, one for intelligence, one for water, so on. I lean forward, pointing my finger at her. You need to do the same. You know how to use a stow. Learn to use a hammer, spear, sword, and rapier. Then from the stow, hammer, spear, sword, and rapier list. Pick which would work. Brute force, precision, speed, so on and so forth. For each weapon or tool you make, memorize and learn to create it in a reactive habit. Muscle memory for your quirk. Speed, how would you move faster than your opponent in a fight? Tunfaz, no Yairozu from the list. You're overthinking from the list, which would be fastest rapier. She asked, confused. Yes. In a fast fight, use a rapier. A short list, each weapon uniquely suited. Now, what would you pick? Against Kirishima, I shoot at her. The hammer. Yes, look at fantasy or sci-fi for designs, eh? Hammer would knock him OU balance. The weight would shatter his armor. Now, two enemies. One left, one right. What you pick? Faster. No thinking. I raise my voice, injecting a sense of urgency. Stout. She responded in fear. Yes. See? React, don't think, do. Think when. You aren't fighting for your life. If you need fast travel, what do you make? A bike? No. Roller skates, maneuverable, shortcuts, weave amongst others. Add fireworks or jets to your arms and legs for propulsion. Long-distance race, against time, you make a motorbike. You have 10 seconds. You need to jump OU this building because it's about to go boom. But you have a guild with you. What do you make? Parachute. Good, you have a plan. But as I said, you have a kid and the building's going down. Glide suit with a parachute. When you escape, always go for distance, I tell her. I would become big chill and fly away. If there wasn't a child, I'd become XLR-8 and run down the building to evacuate anyone at the base. If you were there without a child, what do you do? Foam bubble grenade for insulation. Nice thought. How much per person? Whole street. Air filtering for dust. She seems to be getting the hang of this. Good. Now you're getting it. You're out doing shopping when you see a truck. There's a bomb in the back and you've confirmed it. It'll go OU in 30 seconds and kill hundreds. What do you do? What type of bomb? C4, but the detonator can't be defused. Digital. Yes, small EMP. Followed by capture foam/gelatin. Good. And finally, your parents are at gunpoint by a criminal. Guards are all unconscious. You can't use your arms or legs from exhaustion, but you have enough fat for one more creation. What do you make? What? 10 seconds. React. Don't think. I order. Sonic disruptor. Knock them out. Interesting, not a sleeping gas? Not. Tear gas. I prompt. Tear gas would be a preventative measure, but they'll recover. Sleeping. Gas would have a varying UX based OU proximity, body mass, and lung capacity. Sonic. Disruptor would knock everyone out equally. Atta girl. Now you're getting it. Work on a few. Loadouts. No more than 10 items per loadout. Each loadout can have a specific speciality and a powerhouse with everything you specialize in randomly. I stand and unlock the door to leave. Midoriya. I turn back. Yes, Yakuza. Thanks. No problem. I head towards the arena. Hear my name being called. I come out to find Ida already on the arena and revving up like a punk ready to drag race. He always portrays himself an intelligent leader of rule, following, so this makes me crack a smirk. Ida spoke up as I climbed the stairs to the arena. What's got you all? Cheerful, Midoriya? Think that I'll treat you like Shiozaki. He scowled. No, just amused at the fact you act like those you despise. Revving your engines like a street racer, glaring at me like Bakugo, saying you'll beat me up. I list OU on my fingers. Tennyson, ready? Yes, ma'am. Ida, you ready? Definitely. I must teach this fool how he has erred from heroics. Begin. He rushed me. Due to my experience at speeds far beyond his, I easily evade his attack. Not even transforming as he slid past. Talk about predictable. You're as useless as a drag racer, all acceleration and speed, no flexibility or nimbleness, I drawl. I watch as he grit his teeth, the exhaust flames from his legs growing and shifting to blue. He was OU like a rocket. Meanwhile, I just fall on my back as he soared right over my head, rolling onto my feet. I don't even look his eye. Hear his form streak through the air, rushing me. I do a deep side lunge and feel as my calf. Bones shatter from his momentum, bending at the halfway point and bones sticking out of the skin. Ida went out of control, spinning like some kind of demented fidget spinner or a released air balloon on speed steroids. I watch as he hits the wall below the stands with a small wince. Yuch, Tennyson Midoriya wins. Midnight called. Can we get some medbots out here? No. Need Midnight Sensei. I call, dialing goop and transforming. I quickly change back and stand up, stomping my previously shattered leg. I rewrite my genetic code on the molecular level. I just turn back into my prime, healthy form each time, Exercise unneeded. I smirk. I felt it would be a blow to his ego if I didn't transform. A quirkless person beat him without any assistance. I shrug and walk back to the stands. A good chunk of the class sent wary glances at me for my actions, but most congratulate me on my win. However, I was more focused on my next fight. Bakugo. When it was time for the fight, I was in the arena waiting, thinking through the list of aliens I have. There's so many, but I think I have the best choices. Bakugo walks out, palms crackling as he sees me with my hands behind my head. Tennyson ready? Yes, Bakugo. Let me at him. Fight. I relax as he rushed me. As he came close, I smirk. Heat blast, I speak, allowing myself to fall backwards into a seating position. I transform, launching into the air from flames from my feet, thighs, and back, sending me into a flip. He spun to blast me, but I went further than he expected, all the way across the fighting area. As my feet hit the ground, I supercharge my flames, channeling them into the grounds to turn it to magma. Bakugo blasted upwards, and I smirk, reaching my right arm up and swinging it. Underneath Bakugo, an arm of magma formed and slapped Bakugo towards Midnight's small platform. He flew that way and went past her face before unleashing a powerful explosion that reversed his direction back towards the arm. Dying, he blasted it apart. Artiguana, I call. I shot a blast of ice from my mouth, freezing the ground and forming a wall. As I leap forward, I call another name. XLR8. Zoom. I blitz towards the wall and around it as he blasted through it, appearing to the cameras. We just stood. 4 arms. I shout. I slam my fist into the ground, causing a directed earthquake that created a line of shattered rock at Bakugo, a slab of obsidian rocketing from under him and catching him in the chest. He flies back towards me, and I jump forward. Cannon bolt. I roll up, spinning rapidly. As we got closer, I unroll and use the built-up momentum in a powerful blow, sending Bakugo down. He hit so hard a crater formed. I ball up again and fall, spinning again. Boom. Smoke billowed out across the arena as I'm sent upwards. Rapidly. DMN, he's still kicking? I knew I should have just gone for that directly, I grumble. I fall back, down and land, still in the field, but I got a good view of Bakugo. He's on his last legs. I unroll and, feeling some pity, decide to end it here. Gut rot. Thank you, Midnight, and Yairozu, I speak mentally as I prepare the numerous chemicals for combining as he blasted towards me. Can't be combustible. And here we go. I expel a powerful sedative into the air, the blue cloud, hiding the field from view. A thud marks the end of the fight as I expel a gaseous counter-agent to remove the gas cloud to reveal an unconscious Bakugo. The winner is Tennyson Midoriya. Midnight announces. Mind explaining what that was? I'm immune to any form of chemical gas in this form, so I just made a gas like yours for men only, I explain. It's pretty simple since I'm a walking chemical factory right now. I change back, snewing and feeling a bit woozy. Note to self, add some coine to counter agent. I muse, shaking the sleepiness away. Hey, walking chemical factory? Midnight asked. Yep, chemical warfare is cheap tricks compared to Gutrit's capabilities, I shrug. They spent millions into chemical research. I just need a few minutes to create counter-agents. She started laughing, deep belly laughs. And I'm fairly sure I could hear the insane cackling of Nizu up in the stands. That does not bode well. The next day, I headed OU campus to grab some snacks for my internship. I chose to use Echo to attend all of them. When they get destroyed, I get the memories of my clones, and when they arrive, they can clone once, so if they do get destroyed, I don't need to send another clone there. I was walking in a mall when I notice a new item on display in the tech store. I head over. Interested. Reading through the description, I lose interest. A new penny thief, a busted bit of tech supposedly able to alter a quirk at its core. No way someone's replicated the watch. The sheer data overload from a scan would require Galvin level technology. I turn back and pick the thing up, expertly removing the face and opening the core to find an unfamiliar design. For humans at least. I recognized the hybrid of Galvan and human technology in Growl. I put it back together and buy it. Then I move into a hidden alcove and become Upgrade, merging with a piece of tech, and instantly identify that this is just a node from some much bigger machine. Feeling vindictive, I send a total memory erasure and shut down Worm Virus with Sun Erosion. Level cloning and Tetramand level durability. And with my merging with the tech, I wirelessly send a kill code to all nodes out there to fry themselves and delete all code. As that goes on, I teach down my original device through the network, using it as a core and outward with a worm. Virus, not copies made. Perfect. I drain the data from personally. I extract myself from the device and wait as it shorts out. Bingo. Whoever sold, that is going to be making a lot of refunds. Biomatrix, recycle this device, a beam shot it, and I watch it disintegrate. Let's see how those BSDRDS deal with their source of income vanishing and needing to return the money they've likely used already. I'm a song on my way out of the mall, stopping by the candy store for a bunch of sweets. In an underground base, somewhere unknown, what happened? A man roared at one of his underlings. The device was hacked from one of the nodes we sent out. They caused a feedback loop and fried everything. Well, find them. It's no good. Whoever did it did. In the same gibberish the device was programmed with, sir. All we managed was making exact duplicates of it. None of its Legi splash. A BLD splatter covered the wall as the underlying ceased to exist. Same gibberish, huh? The man's eyes narrowed. Did you call me Inko? You'll learn soon enough that nobody cons the Yakuza. I shiver as I get a bad feeling, but shrug at OU. As I come up to my apartment building, back from internships. Yeah, probably just Bakugo making another death threat. I shrug, taking the elevator up. The door opened and I froze, seeing that the door to the apartment was ajar. Mom hates when I leave it open. I carefully approach, hand at my waist covering an open Biomatrix core set on XLR8. I walk in and find nothing out of place, except for a red BLD splatter on the wall. I stare in horror at the liters of BLD, just dripping from the couch, the table, the wall, everywhere. However, I notice it's mostly dried, so the person who caused it must be long gone. I close the Biomatrix, then spin at 180 degrees in a rotation clockwise. Anti-clockwise, then double-tap the faceplate. Then I also twisted it anti-clockwise 90 degrees, and back with a double-tap. Stealth mode and DNA scanning mode. I disabled them when I got into the elevator, but I might as well activate them if I'm going to get the cops. Still cautious, I back away to the front door, only to jump and scream when a hand grabbed me by the shoulder. So, you're the boy that made that device. A voice growled in my ear. Funny thing happened last week. Every single one I made from it fried and destroyed themselves. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you? And in a no, I shake, flashbacks of middle school coming to the forefront. Good, because you're going to make me more of those things. And other things. My shirt disintegrated, leaving me bare-chested. Where's the belt, boy? At SS school. I stutter out. No matter. I'll have you make a new one just for me. Someone shoved his shirt over my head, and something hard hit me. I wake up in a room with almost no light and sit up with a small groan. There was a flashing light on a cue on my wrist. HLOA. Small, terrified voice spoke. I flinch and look to see a little girl, no older than 3 or 4 on the bed I find myself on. She had light hair, white, blonde, and a horn coming OU her left temple. Hi, who are you? Ieri. You. Izuku. Where are we? They brought you here. I just came back from my draining. For some reason, those words instill a sense of fear in me. Draining of my BLD. They're making Quirk-destroying bullets. Eri, how long does it take for them to check on you? A few hours. I let out a sigh of relief. Then I have time. I made devices that could scan and alter the Quirk factor. They found and sold them. I destroyed them. They want me to make more. I reached for my waist and felt the comforting hardness of my Biomatrix. But I'm getting us out of here now. I activate it and the green glow lit up the room, making Eri eep and back away. I selected Ghost Freak, then realized I couldn't get Eri out with him. Biomatrix, synthesize complete Unimatrix, blue and pink, it shone, and a little wristwatch. Like Nizu's fell to my hand. Eri put this on. I noticed she had a Q too. Biomatrix, recycled GPS. Trackers, it let out a blast, and our wrists were free. I noticed Eri out on her left wrist. Good Eri. Now, when I press it down, you'll become a ghost for a short while. We'll use that time to escape. I activated it and pressed the dial down, doing the same with the Biomatrix. We transform and I see Eri's smaller ghost form. Ichi'll catch us. She whimpered. Not if he can't see or touch us. Eri, I hold her hand and activate invisibility and permeation, the touch also drawing her into the same state. Now up, quietly now, Eri. We rose and slipped through tons of concrete and through some old-style housing estate. It was night, so I drag us through the sky, quickly, finding a rooftop to land on as Eri's Unimatrix began to beep. We turn back. We're out, Eri. Now, we need to make our way to a place that's safe, and, I know, just the one. Biomatrix, call Unitrix a hologram, appeared and Niza looked out. Midoriya? What's wrong? I was kinda kidnapped by the Yakuza, found a girl they were using for Quirk erasing bullets, and escaped with her. I rush out. I plan to XLR8 to UA, but I figured you'd want to be warned. He blinked but nodded. Thanks for the warning. I'll have the gate opens for you. He hung up, and I open Eri's Unitrix, swapping the DNA pod to the Kinesillarin DNA mimicry. All right, Eri, this form is really fast, all right? Just follow. Me and we'll be safe. I transform, and she pressed the dial on her own. Atta girl, now let's go. My mask slide down, and I zoom toward the stairs. Behind me, I can hear Eri running after me. We blitz out of the city and down the highway at super speed. In fact, we moved so fast that before long Mustafu was already appearing ahead. With a few more turns, we arrived out the front, and I stopped. Eri skidded to a stop beside me. Is this the safe place? She asked. I tapped the Unitrix on her chest to change her back, internally squealing at how adorable she was. It is I held out my hand, and she put hers in it, and we walked into the UA grounds safely. Thank you for joining us on this journey through what if Deku had Omnitrix to copy Quirks. We hope you found it as captivating as we did. A big thank you to Springtrap 212332 for creating such an engaging story. Don't forget to visit their profile on Wattpad for more fantastic works. The link is in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Zen and Fanfics for more intriguing explorations into fanfiction and fantasy. Your support helps us create more content like this, and we love hearing your thoughts and suggestions in the comments section. See you soon in the next video.